Welcome to the Screen Time Continuum. It's a wonderful Sunday, and we are here to give you a new review for today. My name is Keelan, and as usual, I am here with the fellas. Nick, how you feeling?
Hey man, happy Sunday. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. Um, it's pretty weird, severe weather change. We went from a big heat wave to it being like 68 today or something like that. It's kind of weird down here, but overall, I'm doing
Oh,
well. That's
that's
about it.
wonderful. Good.
But Mike, how you feeling, brother?
Man, the belly got a little rumbly tumbly, but doing well,
He said, "There's a rumbly in my tumbly."
basically.
That is hilarious. I haven't actually thought about that in a minute, but take care of that, man. Don't push yourself too far.
I'm
No more
good.
chili.
No more shit. Oh yeah, but I want to welcome everybody to the Screen Time Continuum. We are here to bring you guys a new review. Today's review is a movie entitled Kalki 2898. Kalki 2898 was released June 27th, 2024 in India. It is an Indian film. It is directed by Nag, or I'm not sure if that's Nag or Nagi Ashwin. The budget for this was 6 billion INR. And I will say that when I looked this up, there was another film called Kalki that came out in 2019. And I'm not sure if that was like the movie leading up to this or how that goes, but um, budget wise, they're drastically different. And it made me wonder if there was any relation. However, that's just Kalki. This is Kalki 2898. And that's why I thought they were related. But we can kind of get into that if we need to later. Let's see. This movie stars a couple of familiar faces, one of which being Prabhas, uh, Deepika Padukone, 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 Kamal Hassan, Amitabh Bachchan, Disha Patani, Dulquer Salman, and I think there might be like one or two other people that I've seen before. But most of those first names I've actually seen in other films. The some of the reviews I heard or saw said that it was a star-studded cast, so I'm sure that there are just a couple of faces in here that I'm just not familiar with. Like I think the commander, Commander Manas, I think he's probably a big-time actor somewhere, or lineage-wise. Um, but yeah,
Oh, for
let's
your
go from
for
here.
your
Yeah.
for your edification here, 6 billion rupees is $71 million.
Wow,
Yep, not
that's
a
pretty
cheap movie to
sizable.
make, to be
Yeah, that's a
honest.
pretty sizable budget. You know what's
Yeah.
Yeah,
funny? That was made clear by the director in an interview, a short interview that was a Netflix interview or Netflix India piece where he had made that statement how this movie is big budget wise because he's the kind of guy who typically is a miser about the budget, tries not to overspend and do too much. He
yeah,
said that not only here, whether it be India, whether it be sending it over here to America and Hollywood, but even places like Australia, where everything is really big budget, no matter how good or bad it is. It's just how things work over there. This would still be considered a very high budget movie. Um, and I
yeah.
mean, hey, to me, that was an interesting thing within itself. I didn't know that until after I watched it, but after hearing that and watching it, I could definitely understand where a lot of that went. This movie visually is off the charts. But before we get to into our first impressions and stuff, I'm not sure if a lot of sci-fi movies exist in the Indian cinema. Um, Most of their
This is
things are
the first one
usually
I've seen.
right. Well, this is wouldn't be the first one I've seen, but it's the first, um, I guess, publicized or marketed one I've seen. I think I've seen maybe one other, and maybe it's not considered an Indian film, but a long time ago there was a film that I saw. Dang, I just had the name of it, but it's called Shetty. No, I don't think it was. I think it was called Equilibrium, but it was about a robot named Shetty. And that's the whole thing. And I felt like that was very sci-fi, but I'm not exactly sure where that falls in the cinema levels where it's at. Maybe that was a TV movie or something like that. And just when I got it over here, because I didn't see it, it was one of those movies at the end of another movie, if you get what I'm saying.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, that's I saw it a long time ago. I was probably in like high school. But that might have been my introduction to Indian cinema. And I feel like that was very sci-fi. And then we get to this. But I can honestly say, like, yeah, on a world stance, when it comes to everybody being aware of it, this probably is the first one. I'm agreeing with you right now, Nick, on that. It's easily the first one I've ever seen on Netflix or any of the platforms that we have over here. Yeah, I was curious about that because I thought it was sci-fi action, and I thought it was PG-13. Most of the time, their movies come up in R for us, no rating, and I think their rating system is a little different over there, but it comes up as PG-13, and yeah. So let's get into some first impressions on Kalki 2898 AD. Who wants to go first? Let's say Mike. How you feeling? What you thinking?
Um, I must say this. Visually, I thought it was pretty dope. There was a lot of great cinematics. Um, Story wise, it's a little all over the place for me. Um, it didn't. It has. It seems like it has several stories going on at once. Maybe we can hash that out, and I can get a better opinion of that after we all talk it out because we haven't talked this out yet, audience. Just so you guys know, we don't really talk it out beforehand. We try not to, so everything we say and talk about during the cast is authentic.
Off the dribble.
Um, but yeah, visually it was good. Actor wise, I can't really tell if the acting's okay because when it comes to movies with subtitles, it's kind of hard for me to put the two things together. You know what I mean? You guys might not have that problem, but I kind of do. Um, but I didn't dislike it. I was intrigued by it because all the stories are kind of new for me, being that it comes from an entirely different culture. So all the foreknowledge of what the characters might mean or their significance in societal norms, you know, it's kind of lost on me, but I find it interesting. But what I did do is I drew some parallels to some of the stuff that we have in our cultures um, as Americans, and I kind of put two and two together to some degree. So I actually did enjoy it. Saying all that to just say I did enjoy it.
Very nice. Very nice. Nick, what would be your first impressions about Kalki 2898 AD?
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything different to say other than what you guys have already said. It is the first sci-fi Indian movie that I have seen. I thought it was pretty good. I'm always every time we do an Indian film, I'm always worried about the time, and sometimes it feels like these are
Way
going
too
on
long.
forever. Yeah. I think the pacing for this one is okay. It's not as bad as something as we watched. I think the last one we watched was kind of punishing at like 3 hours and 30 minutes.
Jesus.
So this one at 3 hours was fine, I guess. I will agree. I will agree with Mike that the story is kind of hit and miss. The visuals are great. They're interesting. They're sort of original. They're something you haven't seen before, which is cool. Um, I didn't mind the acting per se, but I did find it a little bit slapsticky. Like there's more comedic beats in this movie than I was expecting. I thought we were going to get something a little bit more gritty, maybe like a Dune type movie, but it almost felt more comedic in many aspects, which I thought was good. Actually, it was kind of a welcome change because sci-fi can get really indulgent in the sort of like seriousness, and I like the idea that this sort of had some comedic beats. Things weren't as they weren't taking things as seriously as they could have, and I think that helped with the pacing a little bit. um So other than that, I enjoyed myself. Is it the best movie I've seen ever? No. But it's definitely not a bad movie. So yeah, overall pretty good first impression.
Nice. Yeah, I could say I definitely agree with both of you guys in areas. Nick, I'm right there with you about the slapsticky kind of comedic aspect of it. That was a big thing I wanted to mention in my first take as well. I didn't expect that. And I appreciated that it wasn't just like one character. It was mostly around one character, but every person, even like the most serious hero version or the evil, the villain, like everybody had like that moment where it was like, oh, okay, they're not taking themselves too serious, but they're still having fun. It's something that I think lacks in different cinema, not just in Indian cinema, not just in American cinema, but just sometimes movies take themselves too serious and then the actors can't play with the material. And you can tell that it kind of shows because it doesn't seem like they're having fun when they're shooting it. This movie seems like it was a lot of fun to get in. And I would assume, like a lot of other films that we've seen in the past, that they probably shot this and the second part of it already together. And we just
Mm.
have to wait until it's prepared. And I think that's something that I will say. It was pretty early into this movie where I was like, oh, okay, this is going to have a sequel.
Yeah.
Like,
And if I'm going to offer any critique, it is that there isn't a sufficient ending to this story. You kind of invest a lot of time into seeing what the outcome of everything is going to be. And you sort of understand like what the outcome is going to be, but then they don't give you the resolution. And obviously it's like, okay, well, see you in the next one.
yeah.
Um,
And I think they set the next one up to be even a little more fun, but more in that way, that sinister, gritty way that you were expecting the first one to be.
you know what this kind of reminds me of in not in the like not necessarily in a comparative way, but in sort of like a essence way. It
Mhm.
reminds me of what was the trilogy we were watching? God damn it.
Lord of the Rings.
No, 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 no. The knockoff Star Wars trilogy that we
Oh,
watched.
Rebel Moon.
Rebel
Oh yeah.
Moon.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. This kind of reminds me of like a Rebel Moon-esque
A
trilogy
little bit.
for in Indian cinema.
Disrespectful.
No, not in a bad way, but you know, like the way that it doesn't resolve and it's like, okay, we already know that this is going to be a
Right.
trilogy, so we don't have to worry about resolving a story in one movie. You know, like I think that there's a kind of maybe a thought that this is going to be a trilogy as well.
Mm,
So
it
I
could
don't.
be. Yeah.
I don't know if I could handle this as a trilogy.
I don't know if there's enough story to tell for it to be a trilogy, but yeah, I get you.
And there's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't call that one. But let's see. Before I give the synopsis, a couple of things about Kalki 2898 AD. It is right now showing on Google as the most searched Bollywood streaming um, film today. It is considered intense, thrilling, and gripping. And there's a bunch of reviews that you can go and look at. And all of them are pretty much glowing reviews. It says it's captivating. It has amazing VFX, surprising cameos, and impressive cinematic experience. You know, it looks like the critics actually like this one. And let's just be honest, critics nowadays don't like anything.
No.
That's the whole statement there. But let's see. So I wanted to read both of the synapses that were given. Let me scroll back to that. So the synopsis that is given on Wikipedia for this movie is in 2898 AD, 6,000 years after the events of Kurukshetra, Kurukshetra War, Kasi stands as the last known city in a post-apocalyptic world dominated by Supreme Yaskin, a 200-year-old totalitarian god king. Yaskin rules from the complex, an inverted pyramid megastructure that floats above this city. That's all they give you on it. And then Netflix decided that it wanted to reset my entire page right now. But Netflix says The fated arrival of Lord Vishnu's final avatar alters the future in this mega sensation, excuse me, that crossed 1,000 crore in global box office collections. So by the time Netflix got a hold of this, it was already doing so well that they just had to tell you how well it was doing and tell you that it was the arrival of Lord Vishnu's final avatar. But the original introduction to this movie gives you a little bit of breakdown on what to expect.
Is
I
a
think
crore? We went through this before, but isn't a crore like a billion?
I think so. I forget the breakdown, but I do remember we did it on air once.
Yeah. So 1,000 crore. That's
Yeah,
1,000 billion.
yeah. It's
So like a trillion rupees.
are you looking at it or are you asking?
No, I'm asking. I think it is a
Oh,
trillion rupees, right?
um,
A
perhaps yes.
1,000 billion is a trillion, I believe.
I'm quiet because I have no clue.
Hold on. I'm trying to do the
Let's
calculations
find
here.
out.
Sorry.
Oh,
You know.
oh wow. It
Mhm.
is so 1,000 crore in rupees. Oh no, it's looking at it as dollars. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, 1,000 crore is 10 billion.
1,000 crore is 10 billion. Oh, okay, so I guess a crore is a million.
So 10 billion. Jesus Christ. So it's like what's that? Billion, billion,
Probably
trillion. Yeah,
around
like
150.
835 trillion.
Damn.
835 trillion rupees.
Oh, forget it. I'm not going to try
At
to.
what
That's
point do
too
those
big of a
numbers
number to guess.
become meaningless?
I mean, I think they just did. I think they just did.
I mean, all bullshit aside, at what point do those numbers just become ridiculously just nothing?
Yeah, that is crazy.
That's more than government budgets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
apparently it's the seventh Indian film to cross uh 1,000 crore worldwide,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
What does
it did
that
it in
mean,
25
though?
days. It means there's only six other films in Indian film history that have made $10 billion.
And what does that calculate into American dollars?
Uh,
Is it
Now you're
something?
asking me to do a
Is
lot
it
more.
ridiculous or is it more manageable as far as number wise for the
Mm.
American mind?
It's about 10 billion American, which translates into like
Okay,
835 trillion rupees.
okay, that makes it make a little bit more sense.
Does it though?
Yeah, it
Not
does.
really. Yeah.
I don't
No,
think
I
so
mean,
anyway.
because if you think about how much, like, what was it? Deadpool Wolverine made over $1 billion. You can kind of gather what we're talking about.
Means it's that much better than Deadpool Wolverine. I've seen both movies and I like them both. Kind of equally aside from the nostalgia that Deadpool Wolverine brings.
Well, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying comparatively, as far as the numbers are concerned, when we're talking about a movie, I can look at uh, Deadpool and Wolverine and realize, okay, it made over $1 billion. That's a successful movie as far as a Disney Marvel movie,
Mm,
especially in the last 4 years when everything they put out has been absolute doo doo snacks.
fair enough. We're not gonna go talk about them right now. We're talking about Kalki.
Right? No, no, I get that. I wasn't really gonna go into the tangent of it, but I'm just saying comparatively, it makes the numbers make more sense when we're talking about a film. And
Yeah,
seeing as how the population of India is 12 times bigger than America's
right.
or something like that. If
Yeah,
one
I would
person,
assume.
if one person in India of one of every person went to a movie in India, that's where you get all that money from. Whatever that number equates to.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much comment for the breakdown. I just know that these Indian films, they either are successful or they're not. And usually by the time they get over to us, they're mega successes.
I don't think they put anything over here that isn't a success.
pretty much.
Yeah, probably not.
Because we never got Indian Thriller.
I know. I wish we did.
It's probably on YouTube.
Kalima.
Probably.
Hey, that is still one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
And you look, and this guy's on the internet quite a bit, guys.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Quite a
But
bit.
all right, let's get into this movie. Again, pretty decent, pretty likable movie. A lot of beats, a lot going on, but at the same time, I can understand there are a lot of different stories, and I am hoping that it could be three parts to this, Nick, because there's so much to tie in and wrap up. I would at least like to see them get half of it cleaned up, honestly, and make it make
Yeah, I'm
sense.
sure. I don't know if it'll be a trilogy, but I'm sure the second movie would wrap up everything neatly enough, considering it is a 3 hour long movie, and you'll probably expect the same amount of length for the second movie.
Hmm.
So, I would think that it's probably enough time to sort of wrap up the story. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Maybe.
Uh,
I honestly, we cannot go beat by beat for this.
I
Honestly,
don't think. Yeah.
because yeah, it's way too long. Um,
No, we'll just
we'll
try to
end up
hit the
having
hottest points.
we'll end up having a 2 hour long show or 3 hour long show if
You
we
guys
try
aren't
to get
excited for
every
that?
detail. No, not
You know
really.
I am.
Yeah, right.
I
Mike
mean, yeah,
just
no,
How,
I
woke up,
think
so
how dare
he's
you,
fresh.
sir? How
blasphemy,
dare you?
blasphemer. But no, I do think that there are enough hot points or enough information to get at least some of the bigger points across, and have plenty to talk about still, and leave plenty out for the people to still go watch the movie because again, it is quite lengthy.
Yep.
Um, but so this movie starts out at a war. We see little things that are kind of trying to give you hints towards things that I think you would only understand if you understood the full extent of what they're talking about. Yes, it's a sci-fi film, but it's very clearly based around the gods that exist in
Yeah.
the Indian culture. So you
Mhm.
start with Ashwatthama, and it says the elephant is dead, and the elephant is supposed to be Ashwatthama, and that's at the very beginning. They're in the first city to ever exist, which ends up being the last city to ever exist. But I'm jumping ahead. Um, there's reverence being given to the god Brahma, and Krishna appears on the battlefield and he speaks with Ashwatthama, and they have quite an argument. Clearly, they don't have the best relationship, but Ashwatthama thinks that Krishna is going to kill him, and he says, killing you would basically be mercy. Like that would be letting you off the hook. Instead, you're going to be cursed to be here, and your punishment will be to make sure that I am rebirth. That when his reincarnation comes back to Earth, that he has to ensure that it is born and protected. That is his punishment.
Yep.
And he goes, "How
That
will
he
he
has
know
to
when that time?"
wait. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he goes, "How will he know when that time comes?" He has to wait on two things to happen. Um, there's a star that comes every 6,000 years. That is the first part of it, and the god, or yeah, Krishna's avatar can only be born under that star. At the same time, he
Oh,
has to wait until he gets his jewel back. And when he gets his jewel back, he'll have his power because he is basically a demigod.
Vision.
So he's an immortal.
He's
He's vision.
vision. Yeah. I mean,
I thought
kind
we
of
weren't
is,
doing
right?
that.
Well, it gives an illustration for the people at home who haven't seen it. It's like, all
Right.
right, he's got a stone in the middle of his forehead, and he's got superpowers like Vision does.
Yeah,
He's also a
actually, yeah,
giant, apparently.
yeah, because, and that's what he's a demigod. He's a Nephilim,
Yeah.
essentially.
How dare you
What?
use Christian terminology?
Ooh,
My
you're in
bad.
trouble now, Keelan.
Right? I didn't know.
Mhm.
I
How dare you,
apologize.
sir?
Like, no, genuinely, if there's any offense there, I apologize, but I don't think you're being serious.
Of course not.
So in the intro, we see a bunch of different wars and historic events: the Nazis, the Holocaust, Rome falling, slavery, wars across the world, different rebellions, famine, bombings, and then we also see the creation of the new world that they live in. And this has been was supposed to be a 6,000 year period, although at this point things weren't always bad because the god or the king or king god that's in charge right now, he's only
Xerxes.
200 years basically. He's only 200 years old. And that
Yeah.
tells me that okay, so they let people live. They let life continue for a while and then it went bad.
I think
Um,
I think the insinuation is that all of the war and all of the climate change has brought upon the Kali Yuga and the earth is dying.
yeah, I mean
Because
all of it.
they definitely brought in the climate change angle at the beginning when they were showing all of the terrible things that does.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, that
you
was a
know,
part
so
of it.
there's that angle as well.
Yeah. On a transport carriage, we see a bunch of two little girls, one little girl, excuse me. And we get the notion as they travel, they get where they need to go. This older guy he's very nice, but um, he ends up having to save the little girl because her brother is turning her in because they're looking for fertile young women to implant the seed of the God King into. And we find out that this guy who saves her, he is the husband of the leader of the rebellion against the complex, against the Kali Yuga. And her name is Miriam. And the
Mhm.
commander Manus also knows her, which the commander Manus, I don't think there's much really to say about him. He exists. He is the supreme deity's errand boy, so to speak, but all the power is gone in his head because he's kind of untouchable in that position. Um,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of bounty hunters, and that's really what this movie revolves around: is the bounty hunters who go and find the fertile girls, and the opposition, which would be the rebels, who go and save the fertile girls, hoping that one day they'll find the mother of the next avatar for Krishna.
Oh,
Let's
did
see
you know
things we saw.
somebody I was looking through the IMDb and SS Rajamouli is also in this movie. Uh,
Who?
he was the director of RRR.
Ah,
Oh,
no, I
I
didn't know.
believe. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the thing is that from what I've read and from what I've heard, there were a lot of cameos. And somebody like a director, we might know the name, but wouldn't even be able to put a face to it. So little clever things like that. It's like Matt Damon apparently was in Deadpool versus Wolverine or one of those, and nobody knows. And then he's
Well, he was
credited as a
also
character.
in Thor.
Yeah, yeah, and he's
Yeah.
credited as a character um, from I think Goodwill Hunting, the name of the guy who stole his identity. I can't remember
Oh, I
exactly
don't
how.
know. Anyways, we're getting
Yeah.
off track.
Anyway,
Who cares about Matt
um,
Damon anyways?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Of
I knew that was going to
Let's.
happen.
course you
Yeah.
did.
We're gonna put Mike on timeout.
Again?
Suspend.
Yeah.
So anyway, we meet the bounty hunters, and the bounty hunters are kind of, in my opinion, one of the larger parts of this story. Without the bounty hunters, we don't learn a lot because they're the ones who's traveling back and forth, taking things and taking people. But we end up meeting Bahrava, who is a top level bounty hunter, and he is clearly the hero type. He is the guy that we're going to see a lot of in this movie, and we know that because he is played by Prabhas.
Hmm.
Let's see.
And he's so
So
sleepy.
he is always sleepy because he's so bored by what's going on. But clearly he is a little different. He's not the average bounty hunter. He's out here doing things. Uh,
You mean the undefeated guy?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Bairava, I think was
Yeah.
the name.
Hmm.
Um, so then we go inside the complex. We meet the girl inside the complex who is charged with taking care of the pregnant girls, only for her to be harassed by the trooper who's interested in her and have friends that are trying to protect her and keep her out. But then we also find out very soon and very near after that she herself is pregnant and she's been hiding it while
Uh-oh.
living inside the complex.
Dum dum dum. Her name
Who
is
is she
some
pregnant
80.
by?
I think they
Immaculate Conception.
impregnated her. Yeah, no. She was a part of the pregnancy campaign thing
Yeah,
that they're doing, but
but every time
Right.
they
she,
checked her, they said it didn't take.
yeah, right.
But didn't they also say, if I remember correctly, didn't they also say it's rare to see a pregnant woman in general?
Yeah,
Yes.
So
because
how did that?
it seems like they have to be artificially inseminated. That just natural reproduction isn't working anymore.
Well, and most of them are infertile, so they haven't found a woman that can reproduce. So
But there's children that run around.
Yeah, because they
yeah.
are artificially inseminating plenty of people. And once in a while, somebody
Hey,
gets
Mike,
lucky enough to have a baby.
Huh?
plot.
Right.
Oh.
Don't
So
worry about it.
I think Mike, I think what we're seeing is, you know how they say 1 in 4 babies are born into the world? I think we're seeing that number cut even lower.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. But then
Am
we
I
get a visit.
confused? Absolutely.
Yes.
Hmm.
And we find out that they need a 150-day viable pregnancy for there to be a serum that is drawn from that to give to what is his name again?
Supreme Yaskin.
Supreme Yaska. Thank you. So I don't know how I blinked out on that really quick,
Because
but
it's all confusing.
a little bit maybe, not really, but yeah. But they're looking to get Project K going on, and the scientist gets upset and he demands a meeting with uh, the Supreme Yaska so that he can have a better understanding and be walked through this. The whole goal, they say, is to cure human defects, and the human defect is that we die, essentially.
Is
The
that what it
serum,
was?
No,
basically.
not
I'm.
really. It's
Oh,
basically so that Yaskin can get his vitality back.
Oh, yeah, that's what it really is. That's what it truly
Yeah,
is. But yeah,
yeah.
they told
well.
him
See,
to
you're
cure
still
him.
you're still shedding light on parts of the story that I just didn't pick up.
Oh, got it.
That's why I said that. Not. I wasn't trying to be funny. I was confused on a lot of stuff, and that's why I said once we talk this out, I'm pretty sure I'll gain some more understanding.
Got you. Well, what? The scientist, I'm sure you saw him trying to kill
Yeah.
the God King, right?
Yeah.
And then you saw him kill him with a tear. Did you see that?
With, with a tear.
Kill him with a what?
A tear. Like he shed a tear from his eye, he put it on his finger, and then he dripped it into old boy's mouth and killed him.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
That's the
That's
all
some
closest he
sorts
deadly
of
got.
weird.
poison there.
That's
Yeah,
some stuff right there, boy. You can basically you cannot take what my body. I think what he actually did is the poison that they tried to put in him. He was able to
Could you
replicate it
imagine?
in a way and push it out through his tear.
Could you imagine what he doing to these women?
yikes! No wonder they have to be artificially inseminated.
Right.
Right. Tearing their ass up. Pause. Excuse me.
Yo,
You know what? I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Edit.
no.
All right, back to the show.
Now who on timeout?
You're right. That is a fact. Um, but yeah, so what's happening next? Baidava, he gets 5,000 units. He makes a team up, or the bounty that he has offers him a team up, but he ends up buying an egg for 5,000 units because even things like eggs are scarce. And there's nothing special about it. It's a regular chicken egg in a housing so that it doesn't break and it's still edible, even though I don't know if he's ever going to eat it.
We never see. So
Yeah, we never see. He tells a story about the guy who raised him, who was a captain. And then he ended up having to sell him to the complex because he was going to sell him to the complex for his own freedom. And that's how he was taught to live. So we find out why he's such a jerk and why he is the way he is. Um, 3 people break into his home. He gets there. He finds out what's going on. 2 of those men he owes money, and the other one is a lady named Roxy. And Roxy gets everybody's attention, but also saves him because that's his love interest. That's his lady.
Fine.
And she and
I
she's
knew
going
I
in.
knew Mike was going to say
Of course.
that.
Why would he not?
Hey, as the only single man on the panel, I get to say it
Yeah.
for the fellas who out there in the same position with
That's a
her
fair
Shout
fine
out
ass.
to shout out to Disha Patani. There you
Oh
go.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Man,
Um,
she could get a hug and a kiss.
they have a dance fight. Jeez, they,
She
they
kind
have a
of just
dance fight.
disappears from the movie, though, doesn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, right after she takes him to the job, they go up,
Hmm.
and
Which was
then after
stupid.
they have the little dance break in on that one level where everything is a mansion and beautiful,
Yeah,
like the Garden of
it's
Eden.
kind of like it's kind of like Elysium, that movie
Right.
Matt
It's an
Damon made.
enclosed
Yes.
whole universe kind of thing where they
Yeah.
Yep.
got the pretty beaches and the beautiful gardens that everybody else living in squalor, dust, in a dust
Hmm.
bowl. They the only ones got access to the beach, but it's all
Right.
within this closed off enclosed space.
Yeah.
Like it's a separate dimension that has no size or shape outside of where they are.
Right. Right. And I noted that there was a wardrobe change at that moment. They went from living in a dystopia to being at a mansion party.
Right.
Yes. But then they
Um,
obviously get kicked out because Bhairava is greedy, and
right.
you know.
Which I actually thought that was pretty cool. That the way to get them back into the setting was to acknowledge, like, no, this really happened on this ship, and then they're caught.
Mhm.
And that's why I think she disappeared because we saw him get caught. We didn't see her get caught.
Well, she probably
That's
got turned
true.
into one of the pregnant chicks.
Oh, unfortunately.
No, maybe,
She might turn up in the next one pregnant.
Dang,
probably,
son. That's morbid,
probably.
but that's
I
I
mean,
like that.
what else? What else would the
Oh yeah,
explanation be?
you're
She just
right.
disappears for the whole movie,
Yeah. Damn,
and she
you're
was
right.
probably one of the better things to look at, besides the other pregnant chick who's actually pretty attractive too.
Yes. Yes, that's it.
Some
But
40
so the
or some 80,
some 40
some
some
41.
Some
41, sir.
41.
That's a group. But no, some 80, who ends up being renamed as Samati.
Sumati, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Let's see. Oh, so the pregnant lady who is Samati, she is caught by her friend, and then she is turned in by her friend as well as a pregnant person, and she is then prepped for extraction. However, oh wait, no. Well, actually, so she's prepped for extraction, but we find out that's the only way her friend could get her out of there because her friend works for the rebel forces, helps her get out of the facility, but ends up having to sacrifice herself at the end of it all to get her out properly. Now she has a little bit
Yeah.
of trial getting out, even walking through the test of fire. No joke. That's not a pun. That's really what happens.
Right. She
Um,
did the whole Game of Thrones Mother of Dragons move.
yeah, but she makes it out. But then we also see Rhea. Rhea is the little girl who was saved by the older guy earlier in the movie. And we see her being chased by some bounty hunters, and they chase her into a temple. Excuse me, she's chased by a bounty hunting robot. She gets chased into a temple, but she is eventually saved by um, what looks like a mummy in the cave at the time, but we find out is Ashwatthama.
Hmm.
So
He's been
then
just
he
chilling
saves
there
her.
for thousands of years.
So
Thousands of
did we
years, just
figure
hanging.
out what the significance of the little girl? Because I was lost on that
She's a
completely.
fertile child. That's it.
Yes,
I don't
I think
understand.
that was
She's a
the
fertile
implication.
child, so that they
Yeah.
can't take her and turn her into one of the test
Oh,
subjects.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Other than
Nothing
that, she's
special.
just a vehicle to introduce us to Ashwatthama again.
Gotcha.
Right, because remember she's able to go
Yeah.
with him, and now she's in sanctuary.
Right.
So probably by the second or third one, she'll be an adult and be able to, or maybe not an adult, but she'll be old enough to participate in the war and assist in some way.
Ew.
What? I don't want to know. But we find out that Ashwatthama's job is to save one person and one person only, not the world. But at
That's
this
because he's
point,
punished.
right, at this point, Samadi or Samati, she is being transported to Shambhala, and a bunch of things happen on the way. Her caravan is attacked. They try to kidnap her. Bhairava comes. He tries to take her because he's just trying to chase down a bounty, and nobody's really trying to find Shambhala or Shambhala. They're more so trying to do this bounty to get all the money back for this girl that's escaped because she's the biggest bounty that's ever existed.
Right.
But what we do find is Ashwatthama ends up finding his Shivamani, aka his little gem that goes in his forehead and turns him into vision, in Raya's pocket. He takes that, and the next thing you know, he's on the battlefield. Uh,
Kicking ass and taking names.
that's about it.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yes.
I did enjoy the fight between Bhairava and Ashwatthama. I thought that
Oh
was
yeah, that
pretty
was
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
I knew immediately. I was like, oh, he gonna be one of our heroes later.
Yeah.
And well, also, as soon as Ashwatthama gets his powers back, that wall falls, and we see Bhairava, whatever. I think I'm saying it right.
Hmm.
But we see him like catch a wall that's falling, and on
Yeah.
the other side of the wall is Krishna, or a statue of Krishna.
Right.
Um,
And so he
I
starts to
believe.
get his powers back, but he
Right.
That
doesn't know that he's an avatar.
is
Right.
Krishna like Indian Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe
I,
so.
I wasn't being funny.
No, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can consider him that. Yeah. And I think Brahma would be like the deity above all.
Yeah, that would be God, I believe.
Yeah.
God the Father.
Yes,
Yes.
God the Father. Yeah.
But even in
But
that moment, he
Bhairava doesn't know that he is an incarnation of
of
what was
Karn,
the guy? What
the
was his
god
name?
Karn.
Karn. Okay, got it.
Yeah, he doesn't
Yeah,
know that, but he does notice that something has changed.
right.
Clearly, he could catch a wall. Um,
I mean, he couldn't do that before. He was pretty superhuman.
nah, he was supposed to be have on like gloves that made him punch harder and
He had a super suit.
boots that made him jump.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
he was
was
still
Iron
doing it, even though
Man.
he clearly said that his batteries were dead on all of that.
He became Iron Man, man.
Iron Man, man.
Yeah. No, he looked more like Winter Soldier. A little
Oh,
bit.
God, yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
actually,
Yeah.
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But we see the commander and the counselor Bunny, who took them to see the Supreme Yaska before, and he shows him the Gandhi. The Gandhi is basically a god-like bow and arrow, and he tells him that he must be alert because a new power has awakened, and the person that can use this Gandhi can also kill God. Let's see, did they get to Shambhala yet? Yes. So Samati is finally in Shambhala. They've gotten through, but no, they're
The
not in Shambhala
resistance.
yet.
Yeah,
She's on her
after the
way to
fight.
Shambhala still. Well,
We need
yeah.
an
You're right.
Indian
After
friend to
the
help
fight,
us get through these
I mean,
Yeah. I know.
fair.
for perspective. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I
fair.
get you.
Let's see. They talk about the stories of Miriam, partners, Ajukeras,
They
plan.
eventually get to
Oh,
Shambhala. It's those are
I'm trying to find
those
that
are
in my notes. No, I'm with you. I'm trying to find that part in my notes.
I thought
yeah.
you were getting stuck on names.
Yeah, yeah.
No. I'm trying to because I have the fight pretty detailed. Actually, I think that's
Oh,
what it
okay.
is. The commander comes back. Oh, the commander tells him that the 150-day viable pregnancy has escaped, and Ashwatthama is back.
Back
Uh,
again.
and he is the
Mm.
rebirth of. It's him who is protecting the rebirth of God. And Counselor Booney or Bami, he's already aware of what all of these things are, but he didn't realize that it was time for those things to happen yet in this lifetime. But yes, they do
Hmm.
arrive at Shambhala with Ashwatthama in tow, but there is no doubt. I mean, there is a little bit of doubt amongst the people until it rains, and then they all acknowledge that she is the mother, and she doesn't like being called mother, but that's a whole other thing that she has to get used to. But she's taken to the tree, she's bathed, and she's basically given food. At this point, we find out that Bhairava is still alive. He decides that he wants to go to Shambhala, and at first, you would think it's because he wants to help save, and he's becoming this good guy because that's what his bounty. He even was releasing his bounty. He didn't want the money; he just wanted out because he's been blacklisted as a bounty hunter. He can't even turn in any
Oh,
bounties. But
Yeah.
what we find out is that he actually was able to patch a line in with the commander Mana, and he has agreed to bring Samati back to him for a large bounty. He wants to
Yeah,
turn
and
her in.
access to the complex, I
He wants
think,
to get
right?
into the
He
complex.
wants to get into the complex.
Yeah,
Which
Now I will
right.
say he had a really fun assistant, his little computer assistant. That thing was kind of cool.
Oh
you
yeah,
mean
yeah,
Kit?
yeah.
Drove his car like Batman. It turned his
Yeah,
car into a
yeah.
robot for him,
You mean Kit?
basically. Indian kit.
Indian kid.
Is that wrong to say?
What was that? I forgot the name of the little AI system.
Mm, I
Oh yeah,
forget
I
as
me too.
well.
forget.
The actual name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's why I
it had a
said Kit,
name.
Guess what I said, kid? Let's see.
because it
But yeah,
talks to him.
Oh,
he arrives
Bougie.
at it does. Bougie. Thank you. Bougie.
Bougie. Yeah.
Bougie. Uh but Ashwatthama ends up telling Samati that she carries with her God in her womb, and only the Mother of Earth can do that. She's not just anybody, she's special. And that we also learn about the God Karn and Ashwatthama being best friends. Bhairava fix up his car so that he can, do all this cool stuff later. And we also find out that the bounty hunter that blew up with Kira when she sacrificed herself, he's somehow still alive as well. But we don't see him anymore except for him pushing the scrap off of him in the middle of the desert. And there's clearly a tracker that he's placed on the truck that was carrying Samati.
Yeah, that's how the complex can get to Shambhala.
No, the complex gets to Shambhala because of uh,
The other
Bhairava.
guy who got defeated early in the movie
Yeah,
put a
because he was
tracker on
in
their
with the
truck
old boy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
he
I
put a
before he got
tracker on there.
blowed up.
Okay,
Remember he
maybe
got
it's
lit.
both things. I could see it being both things.
well. Remember
Yeah,
he got blown up, and he when he was fighting with the little pretty girl that rescued Sumati in the truck,
Mm, mm,
and they got attacked by a couple of bounty hunters, and it was one from the beginning of the movie who got beat up by the main guy,
right,
and he had put a tracker on their truck as he was being exploded because he got launched on the side of the truck and wasn't seen for a hot second.
right,
He put a tracker on their truck, and that's really how they found it.
right. You know,
yeah, because they didn't know the location of Shambhala yet.
no,
Right,
they
because
So
it's
didn't.
hidden
True,
behind a holographic barrier.
right. It's
yeah, it kind
basically
of reminded
in.
me of Wakanda a little bit.
I was about to say it's Indian Wakanda.
Yeah, Indian
It's in a
Wakanda. Yeah,
mountain.
yeah,
They have glowing weapons. They have a force
yeah. They
field.
have
They have
like plasma
holograms.
shields. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
they're able to send shockwaves of kinetic energy.
E-Bombay!
Right. That's true.
E-Bombay!
I want if they had said they had a specific ore type, I'd have been like, oh, and they have
Yeah.
vibranium.
Right.
Now, look, maybe they don't have vibranium. Maybe this is where adamantium comes from. Okay, I'll stop.
Mm, yeah.
Did you know there's multiple types of them play? So Ashwatthama ends up in a fight on the bridge after he's walking out with somebody from some Makti from the tree.
Not somebody. Somebody.
He's fighting himself for a minute, but we find out that it's really a hologram and he's fighting Bhairava, who's returned for a rematch. Bougie saves him again and
Bring
ends
on
up
the
having to take her
Transformers.
own missile back
Hmm.
because Ashwatthama throws the missile that she fires at him back at the car, only for Bhairava to jump into the car and it turns into a robot. At the same time, the complex is arriving as they're having their fight and they're duking it out. Um, but there's a well-armed response there to protect the Shambhala from the complex because they've been waiting for them to find them forever. They knew it was going to happen eventually. There is a family that is right there as Bhairava and Ashwatthama is fighting. He ends up saving the family, kind of also giving that nod again to the audience. Hey, he's not completely bad. This is just a role he has to play right now.
Don't
Miriam is
worry, he's
trying
coming.
to
He's coming.
right. Miriam is trying to get Samati to safety, but she ends up getting off the ship, which is a good thing because the ship got shot down and Miriam goes into warrior mode. But Miriam ends up being knocked out.
That
And
didn't last
then
long
she awakens back up really fast so that she can fight Commander Mana, who clearly she has a history with because he taunted her husband, taunted her through the hologram. And then when they get to their fight, it's almost like that was supposed to be his wife in his mind. Um, but she chose the other side. Samati falls a long, long, long way. Ashwatthama tries to grab her, but then she slips. Bhairava jumps from behind him. He catches her, and then Ashwatthama pulls all of them up. After he gets up, he's punched again by Bhairava. They have this fight all over again, but um, he gets the staff. And
Yeah.
when Bhairava gets the staff, that is when the god Karn, the spirit of Karn, is awakened inside of him. He ends up killing the commander, saving the girl, and then after he doesn't have it and he's kind of knocked on his ass one more time, he wakes up and realizes, hold on, wait, what am I doing here? Why am I oh, there goes the bounty. And he takes Samati and flies away and he gets away somehow. It was weird. I didn't really like that part.
because of plot.
But definitely
Yeah.
plot. Definitely
Because we
plot.
need a second movie.
Right. Well, we need a second movie, not just because he gets away with her, but right after that, we jump to a scene where we see
Quicksand.
Yaskin.
no, what is his name? Yaska, thank you. Supreme Yaska. And he has only a drippity drop, like a puh of the serum that came from Samati, and that gives him like he basically is fully rejuvenated physically.
Yep.
His whole body comes back,
And
he
then he has
swells
the
back
Thanos
muscle wise.
moment. He says, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
Right.
And he
And he's
grabs the
also
bow.
able now to grab the Gandiv that gives off destructive energies to anyone who's not supposed to touch it, and he's able to weather that through his entire body. So, needless to say, there's going to be some big fights coming.
Yeah,
But
I would think so.
I feel bad for Bhairava right now because he ain't got that staff. He might want
Don't
to
Oh, did
forget
he?
worry,
that
Oh, yeah, he left it. Yeah, Ashwatthama will keep it.
for sure.
because that's his
What?
best buddies.
But what is
Yeah,
Ashwatthama's weapon? Why he didn't get his weapon back? I'm thinking
that's
he
a good
maybe he can
question.
use the Gandiv.
Well, he's got the little stone on his head, so I think that gives
True,
him
that's kind of his
He's got
thing.
the
super
he's got the
strength.
soul stone.
The Soul
Yes.
Stone. That is the Soul Stone. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole movie. I mean, I just mind you, I was trying to skip through as much as I can. I read a good chunk of it still.
Yeah.
But I was trying to
You got
just
the
skip
major
through.
beats. That was good.
Yeah. The this movie, like I said, there's a lot more that could have been covered or could have been discussed, but it kind of has a smooth flow to it. It doesn't have any real skips or scaps like pauses in the middle of the story. I think that's a reason why it's easy to get a little lost in the story because every single scene is a new part of the story. There is no just passing moment in there. Um,
Yeah. The
but that's
pacing is
good for
pretty
me.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I'm like for a
for
person like
sure.
me, that's good. I love a detail filled movie. But this detail filled movie really just reminds you that you're gonna be watching about two more detailed movies if you want to get to the end of the storyline. And I'm down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well, we'll
prefer it to
see.
be a sequel and not a trilogy.
I agree. One more
Fair
movie
enough.
may be fine. I don't think I could do 3.
And it's 3.5 hours, y'all down?
Mm-mm.
I mean, yes, but
Yeah, I know.
That
Yeah.
that's a lot of movie.
is a
It's
lot
a
of
I don't
long
movie.
even want to
movie.
watch American movies that long, really. Like Lord of the
Mm-mm.
Rings was the exception.
Was
That's
it?
the only one that I can watch.
Yeah, because I didn't watch a lot of director's cuts that are like 5 hours. Like I made the exception for Justice League, the good one.
Snyder cut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The good one?
yeah. If you've seen both, you understand
I
why I
know.
say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta watch the one with an extra 2 hours.
Man, because it
Pretty
makes
much.
more sense. It's a better movie. That's another conversation.
Yeah.
Glad you caught yourself
All
there.
right. Well,
You
let's
almost got me
get our
excited.
ratings in.
Yeah. Well, is there any things that jumped off the charts to you guys really quick before we do that? Just to kind of give a little more just a little more impression on how this movie sat with us because I think we all liked it, but I do think we might have liked it for different reasons. Like I personally like that it had so many details. But at the same time, I do feel like a lot of those details would be lost on the average viewer.
You didn't even talk about the transforming car.
I did a little bit.
He did. He said
Not
that, yeah,
really.
they modified it into a mech. Yeah. Look, we can't get through every detail of a 3 hour long movie in under an hour. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, I can,
We
but
have
I
to
don't
do
think you want
broad
to sit here that
strokes.
long.
No. Yeah, it just, yeah, broad strokes is good because then the people who haven't watched it might get enticed to watch it, and then we're not giving them the entire movie with our
That's true.
podcast. You know,
That's
they're
true.
actually like, oh, there's much more to this than they said, but
There's a lot more to this.
we give them the skeleton of the movie, and then that's it. You know.
Well, I want to just preface everything that happens from this point on by saying I like bad movies.
You do.
Oh, I know. But I don't dislike bad movies, but we've
do,
seen
though.
a lot of. Okay, but I will correct you because we've seen a lot of bad movies that you absolutely hated. So
Yeah, that's
you
true,
like
too.
you like good bad movies.
Right.
Yeah, bad
There's a
movies with
difference.
good elements.
Yeah.
Because they entertain me.
Yes. There's a big difference between a bad movie and then like a
Shitty
like
movie.
a shitty movie. Right. A miserable slog of a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. All right.
All right. So
I'm thinking Blood and Honey Part 2.
Yes.
We
there
have to
is a
watch
part
that.
2 coming out too.
I think it's already out.
No way.
Yeah, I think it's already out. You know, they got a whole new set of Disney movies that are horror movies simply because the copyrighted.
Just remember that there's a Peter Pan movie.
Yes.
Movie coming out.
Yep.
A Mickey Mouse horror movie would be good.
But how much darker can you make Peter Pan? It's already really dark when you start looking at some of the.
Well, most people don't know the actual story.
Yeah.
Okay.
They know the cookie cutter version of it. Most people don't realize Hook is the good guy.
Right.
Well, hey, shameless plug. If you want to learn more about Peter Pan, go check out Exofathom. Our last episode was about that. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Was that just our last episode?
Yeah, we haven't done one since our relocation, but we'll pick back up on it. Yeah.
I'm like, cause I only asked that because I remember jumping in there for a little bit. I don't think I finished that episode, but I know I listened to a chunk of it, and I was just like,
I think I watched that whole episode. I think I was there for the whole thing.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate y'all. But let's see. What do you guys think? What are your ratings?
I can go first on this one. So I give Kalki 2898 AD. I actually give this about a 7.6. Maybe I'll go 6.5 because I'm stuck between a 6 and a 7. I really liked what it was trying to do and where it presented. I think if they even speed wrapped the end of this, I wouldn't have been disappointed because it was so much detail in there that it was just enjoyable. Visually, and I think we say this almost every time we do a foreign film, there's really nothing to be upset about because of the time and effort. You can tell they're still enjoying making good cinema. I am excited to know what comes next. And I do feel like the things that were executed as far as the way we were presented all of the elements of this were done in a fashion in which you're going to be reeled in and you're going to want to know about every single drop of information. So I think they executed greatly. So I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Without having to elaborate any further, I think I'm right there with you. 6.5 for me too.
Then I guess that makes me an outlier.
Uh-oh.
Because I was thinking a 2. No, I'm just kidding. No, I was actually thinking more like around a 5. It was about average for me, mostly because the story was so convoluted. It was like you say, you like a lot of detail. I like detail, but it has to make sense to me, and because I couldn't make sense of a lot of the story, or because maybe because it just drags on quite a bit towards the middle and in the beginning, that I couldn't really get behind it so much. and then certain details weren't there for me to make it all make sense, to put it all together in a neat little bow. Maybe the second one will expound on some of that, so it can make more sense. I don't know, but for me, I was thinking more like a 5, so about average. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. Don't get me wrong. I actually did like it. I just, I needed different, as much detail as they gave. I needed different details.
Right. No, totally understandable.
Fair enough.
Totally understandable. I'm sure if
Yep.
there's a dubbed over version, and you saw
I don't
that one,
think
you
that
would
would
feel
help. I think
interesting.
that would make it worse.
Really?
Yeah,
Maybe.
Because you'll still
because
be
when
reading
it
the
comes to
subtitles.
translation, there's so much that's actually lost.
I get
And you
you.
know what? Matter of fact, as an example of that, I saw a thing on YouTube just the other day where they were talking about how the Japanese really like King of the Hill, but
Oh wow.
they hate the version that's dubbed in Japanese, because you
Mm,
lose certain little details and idioms in the English version with the subtitles that give you a distinctive American feel of how Hank Hill behaves.
yeah, tone is usually lost
Like
as well.
like for an like a small example is, they were saying like how in the original he's like whoa, but
Hmm.
in the Japanese version he goes eh, and
Nani?
it's a
Nani?
difference in how it translates, how Americans behave and things like that. That's a small one that is more anecdotal, but it's
Right.
those little things. I mean, think about how Boomhauer would be portrayed as a
Oh
Japanese
God.
character.
I don't even know if they would understand why he rambling like
That's the
that.
point, because the subtitles tell you exactly what he's saying,
Hmm.
Right.
but when you have it dubbed, it's like it's lost. Those little
Yeah.
idiosyncrasies are lost.
That's a good example. I like that. And I
Yeah,
think that's what makes some of these foreign films for me a little more enjoyable. It's like watching if you're watching anime, if you watch the English dub version of an anime, it's fun, it's cool, but go and watch one of those Dragon Ball Z fights in Japanese. I promise
it's
you
a
it's a
it's a
different fight.
different experience. It's completely different
I
experience.
promise you a different. It's and to the point of which I'm going all the way back to Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z just because it's a little older, more people can probably relate to it. But you don't even get the same tone. So I do understand. I do
Right.
understand. And
But
mind
that's
you, I
exactly
was
what.
told that much later into my viewership of those things.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point. Exactly the point.
Okay.
All right.
Well, with that, hey, that was a nice little excerpt we did there to add in a little bit of background on how subtitles can change your. It's not just subtitles and or dubs can change your view of a film. Maybe we need to go back and look at some of the things that we've watched that were dubbed, because we've watched quite a bit of things that weren't American cinema, and maybe we didn't quite understand it for that reason alone.
Mhm.
But
Oh, I don't
when
know.
it comes to,
Maybe.
yeah, yeah, we could probably take a gander into that. Um, but for Kalki 2898 AD, we have a rating of 18 out of 30, which gives us a solid 6. A solid 6 is
Yep.
what we have here, guys. And, I think yeah, I think that's actually pretty solid. That's a good review. That's a good rating. It's not too much, it's not too little, and I don't think we tried to throw any salt or sugar into it. We just presented it as what it is. Anybody, you
Yep.
guys both looking forward to it too, right? That's what we're saying. We're all agreeing. We're looking forward to the next one.
I don't know if looking forward to it, that's a strong phrase, but
Exactly.
yeah, if we happen to review it in the future, I won't be upset about that.
Well, I
For sure.
definitely think we should review it, but
Yeah.
I don't know about that looking forward to business.
No, I get
Yeah.
it. Hey, there's a couple of other sequels that I think we should that I think we need to get to. So I do understand. That's all I'm saying.
Blood and
Okay.
Honey too.
That is not
Right.
one of them. That is not one of them.
Piglet
Well,
Boogaloo. Yeah.
Piglet humbug. But yeah, so with that being said, I appreciate you guys with your review. I'm sure everybody out there, we appreciate you guys for hanging out while you're here before you decide to head out. Make sure you share this with a couple of people, some people who may not be into this level of cinema, but they can at least sit through a review and somebody else breaking it down. Those who that are interested in cinema, so that they know we don't just do American films, we do everything over here at the Screen Time Continuum. hit that subscribe button. Don't hesitate to hit that notification if you want to know when we're going live. We know sometime it changes depending on the schedule of releases. For this week, we still have the next episode of The Rings of Power. We'll be continuing to review that until it is finished. We have two more episodes, and we just did a review of episodes 5 and 6. You can find those on the Screen Time Continuum page. And as always, I like to say for the Screen Time Continuum, I am Keelan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Mike.
Thanks a lot, guys. Come on back. We will have something for you.
Come on home. Won't you?
Come on home.